Hi friends, welcome back. It is June 27th and we have been having droughts here in Northern Virginia. We haven't had rains for about 6 weeks, but just yesterday we got a little bit of rain. It was about 10 p.m. last night when it started raining, and I did a little rain dance so that it would come down. But today I want to give you a full update and a full tour of the garden. So follow me around and I'll show you what's happening here. So the plan for this raised bed is to put in a few peppers, tomatoes, and a few herbs, so that people, when they walk by the road here, they can see how much production you can get out of one little space that is only 4 foot by 4 foot. Next to that, I have a bunch of flowers on this raised bed. My wife is growing all of these flowers over here. We have cone flowers from last year. They came up last year. And we have gladiola. And check out these beautiful artichokes. They are looking so nice and majestic right now. And the coolest plant is this one right here. Check out how cool this is. It is so soft right here, but these are very prickly. We also have common milkweed for the butterflies here. We have more dahlias over here. I have this beautiful canna lily right here. Check out how beautiful it is. And this one survived the winter last year, so I'm pretty happy about that. I'm going to take divisions from this one and plant it all around the yard. I love stepping out in the yard and looking at all these flowers right here. We've planted all these beautiful flowers for the neighbors, so that they can walk by and look at the beauty that you can have rather than just some plain grass. This year we added this raised bed over here. I just took some plain bricks and I built this little raised bed. Because the yard is at a slant slope over here, I built this little retaining wall, and now we can have this area planted with flowers. Last year I grew a ton of okra over here, but now we have flowers and they look so nice. In this section here we have the red bananas, and they are growing very nicely right now. However, this one looks a little bit sick. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but it has 2 leaves that are dying. I hope it survives. I have been watering using this sprinkler right here, and it just goes overhead for about 15 minutes a day in the evening to try to help the dryness. I've also added a ton of mulch and a lot of organic matter on the top to try to conserve the moisture we do get in the soil. The butterfly ginger is coming up nicely as well, and I even saw some of it was putting on a second shoot, like this one over here. It has 2 shoots coming up, so hopefully I'm hopeful that it will produce flowers in the fall. So I'm excited to see what this looks like. So as you can see, I have this black tarps on all of my pathways right now. In the previous years I've struggled a lot with weeds growing everywhere. So that's why I put this on here. It's very easy to maintain, and at the end of the season you just remove the plastic and then you're done for the season. This guy right here is very cool. This is sesame seeds, and I have seen a few flowers in here already. Check out these beautiful flowers that it's producing right now, and in the fall I should have some sesame seeds to show you. This right here is cassava, the yucca, and you eat the root from these guys. And I'm excited to see if we're gonna have enough time to get a crop out of these guys. You eat the root, and everything I read online says that you need 9 months, but you know me, I love trying new things, and hopefully we can get a little bit of a crop from here. These peppers right here I grew last year, and I overwintered them inside my greenhouse, and it's starting to put peppers, and I think this is a jalapeno, and I'm not sure what the other one is. These peppers survived the night that the greenhouse got down to 12 degrees. So they're survivors, and I want to definitely save seeds from these because somehow they survived, and every other pepper I had in there did not survive. So I want to know what's going on there. These canna lilies came up on their own, and I haven't had the heart to uproot them yet, but they're here. These are the normal canna lilies. They have a red flower. I have more in the back. I'll show you what they look like in the back. This whole area right here are peppers, and I have so many different kinds of peppers in here that I'm waiting to see what it looks like. Right over here, I see my first eggplant. Check that out. There's a beautiful eggplant over here, and I had missed it totally, but it's ready to go almost. Right over here, I have a volunteer cucamelon. This one produces little cucumbers like this, and it's very easy to grow, much easier than your pickling cucumber. So I love growing this one because if you just want a little flavoring of cucumber, this one does it for you. Here is one of them. Here is one of those cucumbers that I was telling you about. It's called cucamelon, and they don't get much larger than this, maybe double the size. And in this raised bed over here, I have 26 tomato plants. I know that because I planted them in the spring and I counted them. And I have so many tomatoes that are turning ripe right now. And I can tell you some of the varieties I have. This one is a striped cherry tomato. I see a few over here that are turning ripe. Check out what that looks like right now. That's a striped cherry tomato, very sweet, very low in acidity too, very nice. A friend gave me seeds for this one and I've been saving the seeds for 2 years now. I also have these Sun Gold tomatoes and they are very good. They produce really well here. These guys right here are called White Beauty and they are starting to get big. I see an issue with this one already. It has bottom end rot. And the issue with that is that inconsistent watering. However, I have been watering these every single day for about 15 minutes, so that's kind of sad. Hopefully that's the only one that has it, and I'll make sure that I keep watering consistently so that we don't have this issue. Here is another Salvadorian tomato, and this one looks perfect. I have been picking them when they turn a little bit red because there is a squirrel, only one, and I know it by heart. And it likes to eat the tomatoes at the bottom over here. So I have been picking the ones that are turning like this, and I let them ripen in my counter. I have a set over here of the Arctic tomato. These guys right here don't have a ton of flavor, but they are tasty nonetheless. So I'll take them. They are good producers and they start producing very early. This one here is a pink Oaxacan tomato. I've never grown this before. My wife gave me seeds for this last year, and here it is. This is really cool. We'll let it ripen in the counter and see what the final color is in a few days. And this little plant over here, it's called a spoonful tomato, and it makes really tiny tomatoes. And I see 2 of them that are ripe. Let me show them to you. They are very small. It's ridiculous. So check out the varieties of tomatoes that I have right now. These are really cool. They'll make a delicious snack. So far, the most flavorful tomato is this little cherry striped tomato that my friend gave me a few years ago. I don't even know the name, but they are true to type. They keep coming up the same way each year, so I really like them. I'm going to show you my side yard very quickly because it's nice and warm today. We have been in the 90s for about a week now. Yesterday was 97 degrees and today is supposed to be about 90. Check out the size of the pawpaw. The pawpaws are really starting to hit their stride now and they're poking above the grapes and the blackberries that I planted here. My goal has always been to grow pawpaws right along the fence, but in the meantime I had planted a hedge of grapes and blackberries, and my plan is coming together because they are coming above the canopy now. You can see the blackberries are turning ripe right now. I am struggling a little bit with the birds. They are eating them before they turn ripe, and Luna comes out here and she says berries, 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 and we have very few to show for because the birds are eating them. I don't think I'm going to net them this year because it is a pain to put the net over here and the birds like to get stuck on the net, so I have to be vigilant if I put the net up because I don't want to be killing any birds anyways. And it is going to be a great year for grapes. I have so many grapes right now. This is the most amount of grapes I have seen on the vines since we've moved into this house. So hopefully this year will be a grape jelly kind of year. A few years ago we made a bunch of grape jelly and it was the most delicious grape jelly we've ever had. I have this Celeste fig right here and it's poking above the canopy of the grapes now, which is good, but I haven't seen any figs on it. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe next year, but if it doesn't produce any next year, I'll chop it down. So you've been warned, my friend. I have another Celeste fig right here, same issue, no figs yet, but hopefully we'll see something in the near future. When I planted blackberries in here, I did not realize how prolific they were going to be. And they have taken over the entire trellis and the entire fence line. So this year I think I want to dig them out from here and put them in a different area, because I want to use this area for other purposes. As always, we have Kayla the dog here watching over the yard. She is very good at keeping animals out of the yard. She's very good at chasing the squirrels. And in the springtime we had a bunny walking in here, and this one is making sure that it's not coming in here. The blackberries have taken over this year, and it's producing a lot of blackberries, but the birds are eating them. So I have to figure out a way that I can enjoy them and the birds can enjoy them too. So like next year I want to move them to a different location so that they can be in their own spot and they are not covering my other raised beds that I have here. This is pretty crazy. Last year I grew a bunch of beans in this area and they self-seeded themselves. And check out how these are. These are mature already. I'm just gonna let them dry on the vine. And these are the red beans that I love to eat. And Luna is very good at shelling them out. So we're gonna hire Luna again this year to help me shell these beans. These potatoes self-seeded themselves and they are almost ready to be picked. I'm gonna be picking all the potatoes very soon, probably this week, because I want to plant other crops in here, maybe like okra, peppers. I have another planting of tomatoes here, but they are shaded by the elderberry. The elderberry bush has gotten so big now that it is blocking a lot of the sunlight in here. But everything looks pretty nice, regardless of the shade. This bed right here was planted in the spring with potatoes, tomatoes, and chard and other things. And it is loaded right now. Check out the amount of tomato plants that are in here. I'm not going in there anytime soon. I'm just gonna wait for the tomatoes to ripen and then I'm gonna trample in there and figure out what's in there. This squash vine has self-seeded itself. I'm not sure what variety it is, so I'm just letting it grow wild right now. But over here the other day I saw I see the first squash over there. And I think it is a butternut squash or a honey nut squash. I love eating summer squash fresh, and I really don't like pumpkins or like winter squash. For some reason, I'm not used to eating like butternut squash, so I prefer to eat them when they're young. So I'm gonna keep an eye on those and eat them while they're fresh. I add them to soups, I stir fry them, so I can eat a lot of those while they're fresh. Over here, I tried to plant some corn, and only 2 little clumps are standing because the squirrel dug them up. But that's okay. My neighbor's yard is full with corn that I planted in the springtime. And the raised beds, I tried to plant some taro this spring and it rotted, so it didn't work. But over here then I planted some of the squash and it's coming up right now and it looks pretty good right now. On the other one, same story. I have some of those beans that self-seeded and I'm just letting them go. And check out these beautiful dahlias. They look so nice right now. This is the Japanese ginger that I have. It hasn't put out the flower yet, but it came up this year no problem. And it's looking nice and luscious. It is a little droopy because there is not enough water in here. This is the canna lily that I grew originally. And these are beautiful flowers. And last year I saw a few hummingbirds on these flowers. And they were so beautiful. I really enjoy them. And check out the row of them that I have right here. This is hardy hibiscus. It makes a white flower with a pink center. I really love it. It dies back every year, but it comes back from the root system. The sugarcane this year is looking quite small. I think the issue was I transplanted it a little late into the season and it has been so dry. So it's taking forever to grow. Hopefully it will produce a crop. This is another cassava that I have back here. And over here I have the soybeans. The soybeans are doing really well. I'm surprised at how well they're doing. They have a lot of pods. Look at this one over here. So many pods. And every single one is loaded like that. So I'm gonna be eating edamame. Just steam and a little bit of salt. Banana plants are doing okay. One more cassava over there. The rice has been struggling. I think most of it died, but there's a few left and hopefully those produce a bit of seed so I can keep trying to grow it next year. The greenhouse is doing well right now. Actually, it's a little too hot. So the yuzu dropped all of the fruit because it was too hot, I believe. This is the loquat. It's growing. And the lemon tree, I think it's too hot for it in here, and it has an infestation of scale. I've been cleaning it up a little bit, but it's hard. I also have sun gold tomatoes here, and I have a huge tree of sun gold tomatoes. It's producing so much. Look at this cluster of sun golds. It has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 tomatoes on one cluster. And every single cluster looks like that. Check it out. They are full, each one of them. So those plants alone there are probably going to produce 200 tomatoes each. These guys look so beautiful. These are cuttings from my Meyer lemon. This ones are cuttings of the mother plant right here. And these are so beautiful right now. They're putting on a lot of growth. I planted a fig tree in here, and check out my dragon fruit. It's putting on a lot of growth. I'm loving it. This is a citrus that I started from a seed about 6 years ago maybe, and I put it in the ground last fall. No flowers yet, but I'm hoping soon it will produce flowers. I don't remember if it's a lime or a lemon, but we'll know once it produces fruit. The fig tree is struggling this year. It's dropping a lot of the figs, and I'm not sure why. Maybe the drought is getting to it. It dropped all the figs that were on the branches from the spring, but it's putting on a new crop. So I'm hoping the new crop matures and I get a little bit of fig harvest. In the spring, I planted some ramps that I found at the farmer's market here, and they started making flower pods. And right here you can see the little flower from the ramp, and it's gonna make seeds. There's a few of them around. There's a few more ramps back there, so I'm hoping to see a few more seeds back there, but we'll see what happens. Check out this beautiful canna lilies. I still have my OG planting of bananas over here. These are getting huge this year. I have my compost pile over here. And one thing that I did the other day was create this little dam so that when it rains, the water comes rushing down this way, and then it builds up right here. After it fills up over here, it can spill over this way and then fill up this area, which is concaved, and then it will go down this way a little bit, fill out this area, get full with water, and then slowly release all the way over there to my neighbor's yard. We are really struggling over here. It's been so dry that my plants are droopy and they are losing quite a bit of leaves. I have been trying to water. Believe me, I've been watering a lot. This is the most I've ever watered, and even though I've been watering, it's not the same. You need rain in order to get a good crop. This back area has become a little weedy again. I need to come in and clear it. This is where the garlic was. I didn't plant anything over here, so I need to put something into the ground soon. Over here I have more dahlias. I have blueberries. The blueberries produce a few fruits every single year, fruit berries, but the birds eat them. So I think I'm going to get rid of the blueberries. Oh, here's another beautiful squash. Wow, that one's a nice size one already. Maybe I'll come pick it soon for a little dinner. The taro is doing really well, but the squash is growing in between it. So I'm kind of concerned that it's going to get shaded, but look at the taro. And some of this taro actually came back on its own from last year. So this year, instead of picking all the taro, I'm going to leave some of it in the ground so that it comes back on its own next year. Let me see if I can get in over here and I can show you what's happening here. These guys right here are much better crop than blueberries. These are honeyberries, and they've produced quite a bit of berries this spring already. So I really like those instead of blueberries. Check out the growth of the trees in the back orchard. I trimmed those trees probably to about 7 foot this year. I trimmed them quite along the fence line here, and they have put on about 6 feet of growth this year alone. It's crazy. I've seen a squirrel jumping back and forth over here, and I think it's eating the peaches over here. The peach tree that I have that I planted from seed has about 7 peaches left. It had hundreds of peaches, but it dropped them. Most of them dropped. So yesterday I came in here and I put chicken wire. This is chicken wire, and I put it on the around the fruit. I think I put 6 of these around, and they are doing quite well right now. I hope at least one of those peaches matures and I am able to try them out, because I really want to try what they taste like. It's going to be really cool to try one of those fruits because I grew it from seed. The Asian pear tree is doing really well this year, and surprisingly there is apple cedar rust on this one. You can see cedar rust on some of the fruits, but more than half of the fruit is doing well. This is the perfect example right here. These fruits are next to each other. That one got the rust, this one did not. So that's so cool. I like that. Finally something is working out. I did put one of those chicken wire little nets around this one too, because I want to protect it, make sure the squirrel does not eat it. The apple tree is doing very well this year too, but I think the birds are eating them, and it has quite a bit of rot. So something happens here where the birds pick at it, then the ants come. So it produced quite a few apples this year, but it has that issue where the birds are getting to it. Last year I netted this thing over, and that's how I was able to get a few apples from it. But the tree got gnarly, and that's how these branches grew all mangled. So I didn't want to net it this year. But then if you don't do that, then you don't get a crop. Check this area out. The bamboo grass is really coming back really strongly. I didn't clean it up in the springtime, so that's why it's so bad right now. But I'm definitely going to get to it very soon. The cherry tree that I had here, it was a 2-in-1 cherry tree. It was a Rainier cherry, died. It had an infection of sorts, and there was very gooey gel coming out of the trunk, and it eventually died. I have another apple here that is really happy, and these are cherry trees that I started from seed about 3 years ago, 2021, and they are very happy over here. And I know for a fact these produce a very sweet cherry, so I'm excited for these to get mature and produce some cherries for me, because the one that I purchased from a nursery died. And this is the corn right here. This is Red Butcher corn, and I have planted a bunch of beans at the base of each one of them. Hopefully these beans start growing and start taking over the plants soon. The persimmon tree has a few persimmons again this year. Hopefully some of them stay on the tree. Last year they got to about this size and they all dropped, but this year there's only about 5 of them. So I'm hopeful that since there's only 5 of them, they will survive. And one last thing I forgot to mention is this entire row was planted with potatoes, and you can see that they're all dying back. So I know they're ready to pick right now, but it has been so hot and dry that soil is going to be rock solid. So I've been dreading the fact that I need to dig them up. Last winter I removed all the banana plants from here, and so I thought, but look at here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that survived somehow my digging. So they're still growing here. I'm gonna let them grow over here this year, and hopefully we can get that beautiful green wall of bananas again this next year. This year I'm trying to grow the ube, which is a purple yam, and check out how beautiful the colors on this plant are. And I'm gonna grow it on the trellis here. The chayote I thought would come back, did not come back from the ground. I had one chayote here and one chayote over here, and it did not come back this spring. I did start a few chayotes indoors in the winter months, and when I brought them outside they died. And then I decided that it was too late to restart the program again. So this year I'm not growing chayote. It's okay, this year I'm growing a few different things like the sesame seeds, the cassava, and that ube over there. So hopefully those replace the chayotes. And this is my tropical station. I have some papaya here. These are Hawaiian papayas I started from seed. This is a soursop, and these are coffee beans. And I went to the nursery and I found dwarf banana plants, and these are dwarf banana plants. So hopefully they'll produce eventually. And this is a cutting of my pineapple guava. These right here are my pride and joy this year. I made these self-watering buckets and they are doing really well. So well that I made 4 more, and very soon on the next video I'll show you on how to build them and how to plant them. If you have a small yard, you can use these to grow a lot of food. Check out the amount of peppers that are being produced right here, and I've already harvested over 100 of them, and I've made all sorts of little things with them. They are not so spicy if you eat them young like this, but if you wait for them to be ripe, they are pretty spicy. I think these are Tabasco peppers. My grandmother gave them to me and she said they're not very spicy. So I was like popping one in my mouth, so spicy. If you want to watch a video on how to build these 5-gallon buckets that are self-watering, make sure you watch my next video coming up. Check out how beautiful these dill is and how many pollinators are attracted to it. I enjoy growing it just for that purpose, but I also use the leaves sometimes to do a little bit of pickling. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed. I'll see you on the next one.